Hey yo, what's up boys? Cool, we're gonna make this video very simple. Yo, you have to understand this. I just dropped that video yesterday, and I want to show you exactly the spaces in which we want to be looking for trades. It's very simple, very easy to understand. So in a trend, right, you'll see your MA is erected going upwards. That's what you want to see, no matter what, no matter which direction that you trade in, whether it's bullish or bearish. You want to see your MA is erected either to the upside or falling, going to the downside, right? So look at this. This is an area that you want to trade in. This right here, that's an area. Let me show you another one. This is an area right here. Look at your MA is erected, right? Let me turn this on. This is an area that you want to trade in, or sorry, this is where you want to get down on that time frame and start to look for trades on. You understand? Look at this. MA is erected, pushing upwards. Obviously gold has been doing that for the longest time, so you wanted to be looking for when it's clear and pushing upward. Look at this one here. So it came down. We wouldn't have paid attention to that one because that doesn't fall into the right category. This is a nice area right here. Look again. So MA is right here pushing up. This is not one that you probably would want to look for because it's sloping down a little too much. This here is sloping down too, but this is a nice build up, so maybe in here, right? But the ideal ones are going to be the ones that are pushing and you see it continuously rising. You see the difference with this one pushing up, this MA right here sloping up, versus this MA right here sloping down to then try to come up. And you realize how you get chopped out of this one. And you see this one here is kind of okay because this one is sloping upwards. So that's the reason why this one here would have been successful, as you can see, right? Yeah, that's the one that you want to look at. Let me get onto the 5 minute. Let me just show you something right here. Let me get to this section. Where was the trade just a while ago? Okay, I can find the trade, but look at this. So look, this is on the 1 hour right now. We're waiting on it to slope upward. If I just remove price, I think I can remove price. Hide. If I just look at this, you can tell this is very much sloping upward. This here is barely sloping upward. Look at the direction of that. Barely sloping upward, but this one is pushing up. You see? And then it comes and then slopes upward versus, and then see again now, sloping upward. This is where you want to look for trades. So once you see that start to go down like this, you're not paying attention to price. This is the area in which you're looking for price to start the build up. And then look at this now. The easiest way for you to understand this, look at this. Yo, let me actually pull this up like this. Look at this. It's the plot that starts to show up above the other ones after sloping downwards is the one you want to pay attention to, if you realize that. And look at this. Again, boom, down here, the one that sloped upward started to slope upward and gave you that setup. That's where you would have wanted to look to get in. But then all of it, obviously this failed, which is perfectly fine. Then it started to slope upward again. That's fine. You're waiting now. You're waiting until this period came. Boom. That is when you wanted to get into the market. Look again. Cool. This started to slope up. Look at when this plot came up in here. This is not late for you to scale down now to the 5 minute and start to look for trades in here. You understand? This is how it works. It doesn't make sense for you to try to look for trades down in here or right in here because you can get chopped out easily, right? So you just want to literally wait until you see price. How do I get my price back on charts now? Damn. You want to see the MAs sloping upward first before that happens. So again, this is a prime area that you'd want to look for. This is a prime area that you'd want to look for somewhere in here. This one here just started to slope up, so this one was actually a very good one, an early catch. But again, you want it to start sloping up before, because if it's trending, more than likely this is what's happening. If it's trending, coming down from a slope to go upward, you're looking for price to continue going up. This is the reason why you have higher time frame confluences, right? So you're looking at the other one now, and you see them start to dance and play around with each other, and all of a sudden now that takes off. and you see a bigger time frame start to follow, that is what you want to see. This is where you want to start to get involved on the lower time frames, not down in here, like right here. That's not where you want to get involved. This is where you start to want to look to get involved, because you see it sloping up. You see it sloping up. So the trend could have started here, right? Easily, but then it failed down, which is perfectly fine, because that's how the probabilistic nature of trading goes. Then guess what? It started again. You see the slope up. You see the slope up. Then it started to go sideways a bit. Then it started to pick back up. This is exactly where you scale on in a 5 minute to look. So now let's go down into the 5 minute to look at like what happened right there in that area, right? Very simple put. So remember, these are the very similar areas that you want to look for trades. With that confluence alone, remember yesterday's video, I said we're building confluences, right? So look at this area right here. I could have easily said, and remember now the rules are very simple. So if I just wait for my 1 hour plots on the 12 MA right here, which is the fast MA, that is showing us where we want to get into price, because it started to interact with that MA and it's above the 50, so it's easier to look for it. This now is where we can pull this, boom, and then start to look on the 5 minute for this trade. So what I can do to make it easier to locate that area is just do the replay, and then we already know how this ends up. So now let's look at this now from this perspective. All right, very simply put. Look at when price came down, boom. This is where we're now looking at trades. Remember, same concept. We want to see it rising up, right? So if I even wait until I see it rising up and coming above the MAs, look at all of these highs here that you can take. Look at all these highs here that you can take, and look at the hourly. Look at how it look at the coherence of what I'm saying right now. So remember, your 1 hour activated right here, and what would have happened? Let's just look at it, because remember now this is where it starts to go back and start to slope up again. So within all of this price action, you're literally looking at, oh, okay, we're going back bullish. It's been bullish. Let's just continue with the trend and move higher with it. Now you get down to your 5 minute chart. You start to look at price. Your MAs are above here. You see that? Come on, you can see this. Your fast MA is below the 50, so you're not interested in any of these plots that pop up. Like this one, you saved yourself from getting into that one. Then you start to see price push up. You start to see your MA separate, ready to start sloping upward from an already sloping upward MA. You start to see this on the 1 hour, right? Easy things. And then you get onto your 5 minute. This is where you can literally, this is where your first liquidity target top pops up, right? And this is where your second one pops up. So this is the one that you would have initially taken, obviously. Let me take this off. This is the one that you would have taken. Boom. And your stop loss is below that low right here. Swing high, swing low, straight through. Boom. This is what you'd have been doing. So a 1-to-1 break even, or 1-to-2, whatever you choose. I think I want to do a 1-to-2 so that I can give it some more space. Because so on my testing so far, I'm realizing if I go 1-to-1 break even, it's gonna break me out. It's gonna break even a lot quicker and a lot more times too. So I go break even right here. Let me use this one. Break even. Boom. So that's now break even. And then now from here, I'm literally managing on the 1 hour. So now I switch it now, instead of me managing on the 5 minute, which if I did, let me show you the difference now. If I did the management on the 5 minute, this is what I'd be looking for. So if I put stop loss partial, I'd be going to this low right here for the first one, after that 1-to-1, and then the price breaks through. This one happens right here. Boom. I would have only been taking a partial right here, because that crossed it right there. That's literally nothing. That's a 1-to-1.87. So that's where I'd end up taking a partial. So now I moved it now to, if my higher time frame is the 1 hour and I'm entering on the 5 minute, I'll enter on the 5 minute and manage it from the 1 hour, because I'm trading the 1 hour chart, right? So that's what I'm pretty much doing. So very simply put, I would not have the partial here now. The partial would be now being traded from the 1 hour perspective. So now this is how I'd be looking at this. So now guess what? We're looking at this, we're moving here for the first one. because that here is what traded through there. And then the second one is that right here. So this is where I'd have my stop loss right there. Price would have came close and then came back down, then topped it. This is where I'd have taken my 50% partial. So my 50% partial would have been 1 to 8.25 type of thing. So 8.25 because I divided that by 2, 50%. So 1 to 8, and then from there I continue and look at what we beautifully get again. Another setup in here. So now what I can easily do is have this one here running and look for my setup on the 5 minute once again. And let's see how we would have gotten into this trade. So this one right here is the exact same area. You can look on the crosshairs and see where I'm at. Looking at the trade, guess what? We see price pushing up. We see the 1 hour actually come up here and then they'll validate up here again, right? So you wouldn't have probably gotten into this one because this one have been very early. So you wouldn't have been able to see this. You have to be truthful and honest with yourself. You wouldn't have been able to foresee this type of movement. Although you got in a bullish plot, you could have definitely taken that, right? Because this one here, the MAs are over each other. So you definitely could have taken that. It's all subjective. Nothing is wrong with that. If you wanted to take it, no problem. I probably wouldn't, right? Because look at this one here. You definitely wouldn't because this MA was down here. So you're waiting on that to rise above this. So this one here would have been a very good trade, yes. And I could probably use that. But I probably would have waited until I gotten into like something like this one. So this is the one that I probably would have gotten into. Let's see. Boom. My stop loss would have been below the low. So that's perfect. Break even at 1 to 2. Right? Because this is the first one that came from that rise in MA. Right? So that would have been the same one. And see here, we're rising again. We have this one here rising. And then rising straight through that. This one here rising already. I'm going for that 1 to 2. So I'm already break even on this one. And then guess what? I managed from the 1 hour once again. So let's see where we would have gotten into this one. And mind you, this one is still running, right? So this one is still running based on the 1 hour comes down. I would have moved this now to a daily management since I already took my partial from the 1 hour. So we'll manage that after. So this is where my first stop loss would have been, or partial. Let's see. Then it came up. Then my second one would have been right here. And that's where this comes in partials. So this here stops at 2.82. So 1.41 roughly. 1.41. So what I can do is this right here. 1.41. And then this one here was like 8 something. 8.5. So let's see, 8.2 something. So 8.25. Call it 8.25. Right? And then have that change. And now, obviously, since we took the partials right there, what we can do now is step up to the daily time frame. So you saw how we entered on the 5 minute. You saw how we managed on the 1 hour. So now this is where we get to the daily time frame now to actually manage it to see where we would get partialed in or out of, whatever the case is. So apparently, let's see, apparently this would have been stopped out. Great. So this would have been, we would have end up just having this at a 1.41, which is perfectly fine. That would have hit BE. And then now let's see, BE is all the way down here. That first partial was right there. So now we're partialing based on the daily chart. So now we would have been in that. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if we get stopped out. BE. Nothing happens yet. Nothing happens yet. Do we get stopped out? Cool. So we would have got taken out BE. So with these two trades that have been 9.6 something. With this one and this one together. 9.6 something. But that's exactly how you look at the trades, right? Because if I even wanted to manage on the hourly, there's so many different ways to manage the trades. This went to 1 to 16 right here before coming back to stop us out. If I said to myself, all right, I take my first 50% partial on this, and then I wait until the hourly starts to present more, and then I start to do that again, my second partial would have been right here with this next one once again. So that would have been divided by 2 and then divided by 2 once again, right? It's to get that number. And then that's how I could also manage this as well. So I get in on the 5 minute and I manage all my trades on the daily. I mean on the hourly, right? Versus doing it on the daily and stepping up. Because when you get into a trade like this and step up, you have to give the daily a lot more space for it to go down and then come back up and all this extra stuff, just like what you see here, right? So on the daily, it's the same principle. Look, you see your rise in MAs, you see this one here starting to rise, and then you get in right there. Boom, this one never returns. This one, even up to the daily, has never returned to that zone. Let's see something. Let's see another one. This one here is a very good one. This one here popped in. Boom, you were expecting the trade to continue because you see a rise in MAs, and it just failed down. Nothing wrong with that. You probably wouldn't have taken this one, or you could have, because you see your MAs rising and it's above each other. So you probably could have taken that one. I probably wouldn't, because I want to see a little bit more establishment. I want to see it do a little bit more of a rising before coming back down into here to then rise some more. So something like this. And I would want to see price do some stuff like this, like up and then come back down, play around here a little bit, leaving this liquidity target top to then rise again and then keep going up. Right, you understand? That's what I want to see. So yeah, so very similar to this. If this came up now, came down and gave me a setup right here, which this one definitely did, like this, and then came up, and then no programmed, boom bam bam, came up. Like a plot's supposed to be here, so it's not perfect. The whole system thing here, the indicator is not perfect as yet, but it's very damn good. So like this would have been a definite one to take, right? A plot should have been right here based on the criteria that I have set up. Very simple. Here it is again, rise in MAs. This is the one that I think I just said that we wouldn't, that didn't return. Well, it all depends, because see, 1 to 2 break even, more than likely this would have been a break even trade easily. Yeah, I wouldn't lie to you, that's just a break even trade. And then again, look at this. See, that's why I'm saying it's not perfect, because look, see, price came, closed down, boom, this was another entry right here. Another plot was supposed to be right here, and that's where we would enter from. Stop loss under here, break even at 1 to 2, boom, price never returns. Price literally, and that's on the daily chart. Price never returns. Right now this is at 1 to 20. If you're trading with the institutions or the banks, you're making good money. Anyways, I gotta end this video now, because all of my videos be hella long but very informative, as I keep saying, and very beneficial if you grasp the concepts and understand what it is that I'm showing you. Yeah, cool. Peace.